Nora, good to see you again. Could you introduce yourself and your business?
Sure. Thanks, Cormac. I'm Nora Diaz. I'm from Colombia. I live in the beautiful city of Cartagena. I am a woman that have three passions in my life: the ocean, the AI, and of course, the first one is my family. I love to help people by helping them with data and AI and to automate things. And I think that has been the road I have done during all my experience working in different companies, Liberty Mutual, iFood, Betterfly, and now starting the world of being an entrepreneur.
Perfect. Okay, great. So yeah, let's talk about your background that got you into this the AI space. How when did that start?
Well, I guess that since I was a child, I love computers, I love logic, I love math, and definitely I knew that was going to be my path. I started in the insurance business, and in insurance we have actuaries, and to be an actuary you have to present a lot of exams. That's something that is not very common in Colombia. So I started to work as an actuary, but I really didn't feel an actuary because I didn't have the exams and the certifications. So for me was not the path where I was feeling comfortable. But since that role, I already was started to build predictive models, doing pricing, doing a lot of estimations with reserving. And then this world of, at the time, that data science, machine learning started to grow. And I said, that's my path. So I become a data scientist and I did a master in data science. And I started to lead teams in different countries. First, I started in Colombia, then in Latin America, them in Asia, Europe, and Latin America. And then I had that feeling to move to startups because everything started to grow faster. And that's when I decided to move to iFood. Then I returned to Liberty Mutual to with the idea to change this insurance world that is amazing and have a lot of opportunities. And then I just put the middle of that point that was Betterfly, that is a startup, but in the insurance business. And also with the purpose of life that also is very aligned with my dreams of how you help people to have a better life. And that I think that's the best way we can use AI. How you help people to make their life much better right now, right? Like not in the future, but in the present. How can you live your best life?
Okay, perfect. And then so that's now pivoted into entrepreneurship, starting your own business. So yeah, talk to me a bit about what that looks like for you.
Well, in my path of helping people, I guess I always had that passion of being an entrepreneur, but most I have been always working in a company. So definitely when I started to work in startups, I started to learn more about how you can be an entrepreneur.
Mm.
And I see on that a way of you can help more people and not only one company, but many different companies understanding different needs. So I started 1 year ago in a parallel way with Betterfly, and I started teaching people about AI
Mhm.
because I always say that this is a path that you need to go step by step. You can just don't do a big investment in AI and hire a company that do everything from you, and the next day you don't know how to maintain that, how to measure that, how to calibrate everything. So
Mm.
you need to do everything step by step. And the other thing is that when you have done this, implementing and do it in the real world and seeing the value of AI and data, you realize that what are the key points that makes the difference between maybe have a laboratory doing a lot of good models,
Mm.
but then how really they are useful for making decisions and to see the value. So that's the part that now I am helping companies in building that path to making sure that is going to be is for the long term plan
Yeah.
and not for building a specific model that maybe later is going to die and was fun, but not really you see the value of that.
Mm.
So this is a long-term path. And in this new entrepreneurship that is Lulo Analytics, what I'm doing is helping people in that path with that three components with training,
Mm.
so you have the knowledge, with building a specific automations and models, and also to build the assessment and the guidance
Mm.
everyone in the company needs to really build the strategic plan they need for the future.
Okay, perfect. So it's yeah, I think a lot of businesses that I've seen anyway, they make that mistake and they probably try and go too fast, too quick with it, and then they get a bit lost. So you're helping them in that first step, but then actually all the way through for the future plans as well. So you're helping them get used to using AI as a business and how they can best use it and finding the best use cases for them, but then looking at, okay, this is where we're at now with AI, but this is what we're look to build in, and so, like, so you're taking a full consultative approach instead of a just a we sell this product based approach with AI.
Yeah, we have some specific products, most mainly in insurance and in that is more specific for enterprise, and also when we talk about people in general is more about growth, how we help people to achieve their goals.
Mm.
Um, but in general, we support the companies in the path, right? Like it's like when you're learning a language. If you start with a complex book, maybe you are not going to understand anything.
Mm.
You need to go step by step and making sure that generate value. And also, what is most important is to understand the pain points of the business. What is really the problem you are trying to solve?
Mm.
And then, when you understand the problem, you think in the solution for that problem.
Yeah.
Most of the time you spend is thinking about the problem and few minutes in the solution for that problem.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. So with a more consultative approach, I think that usually, as a rule of thumb, brings a slightly harder sales process um, compared to like a product-based sale. It tends to be a lot easier. So talk to me a bit about like your plans or how you've gone to market initially, how you found these first clients to get the business off the ground.
Okay, I think the most important when you're an entrepreneur is making sure that you love what you're doing, like being in love with the problem, and making sure that if you continue doing this in 10 years, you will be happy with that, right? So in my case, of course, I started with my experience and also with what people need. And my experience, most of my experience has been in insurance. So definitely is the market where I started. And the other one is being a leader. And I know that in my experience of having different teams in multiple countries, with different time zones, with different cultures, with different backgrounds, um, definitely being a leader have been something. Now I can help people, so that's why I also support people, finding them their next opportunity, helping them to be in a leader, uh, And the reason why I define these two initial scopes, like professional growth and insurance, is because is the connection between what I know, what I have the experience, and where I identify the problems people have, people needs a solution. In the insurance market, um, most of the business depends on brokers, right? Brokers are an important stakeholder in the value proposition. And brokers, not I'm not talking about the big ones, but the most of the brokers um, are doesn't like to trust with someone to share their data, their process,
Yeah.
because it's where they have the value, right? But if we help them to keep that privacy
Mm.
of their data, their customers' information, but having automated process that makes the experience better for the customer and easier for them, it's something that generates a lot of value in general, not only for the broker, but in general, the experience of selling and using an insurance. And I think we have seen a lot of examples of AI, especially in the finance industry, right? It's like the first one you start to see many things, but insurance is also something that have a lot of opportunities because at the end it's risk
Mm.
what you are selling, like you really don't know what is going to happen. So definitely data and AI, it's really important in the industry, additional to all the process that you see in other industries, that you need to sell, you need to contact your leads, you need to understand your funnel, you need to automate your process, you know, to be profitable. So definitely I always say that this is an industry that most of the time you go into this industry accidentally,
Yeah.
but you decide to be part of the industry forever because it's really exciting, this industry.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's probably how you've so uncovering a bit of how you've managed to sign their clients so easily or quickly, even though you're not necessarily a salesperson yourself, is because you have that deep understanding of the industry, and I think that has so for a lot of people that maybe are struggling on the sales side of things, it's like uncovering what you've just said is you need to have a full understanding of who you're trying to sell to and all of their pain points, because you just showed there that you've got a very clear and thorough understanding of the different pain points at every different part of the insurance cycle. So sorry to interrupt. I'll let you get back to the podcast in a second. I just wanted to let you know that I have created a free scorecard, free quiz for anyone that's watching to go through. It gives you a score on how your sales process and sales function are performing. So if there's any gaps, it identifies them, gives suggestions, and it only takes 2 minutes to go through. So I'll put it in the first link in the description. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn after you've gone through the scorecard. Let me know how you got on. I might have an extra little offer for you for free as well. But I'll let you get back to the podcast. I think that's probably helped massively, even if subconsciously, like when you are speaking to people, they will you are highlighting the points that you could add value into straight away, instead of going to them and trying to make them fit into your process. You say, actually, well, this is where you're probably experiencing this pain, and I can help out with that. Is that kind of how you approach speaking to new businesses when you're trying to get them as clients?
Well, most of the pain points I already have that identified and I understand, right? And what happened when people have the pain points is that, for example, they know AI is going to help them, but
Mm.
they don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And in general, they don't need to understand the details of AI, what this model is doing, how this automation is running. But definitely, you need to be transparent in the process you build. But also, what it's important is to solve their problem.
Mm,
So when I automate a process, for example, for a broker, um, my goal is not really to reduce the time automating that process. My goal is that the broker can bring more customers to the business, or that they can do that the process is more efficient. If you have 1,000 leads
mm,
that um, you can decide what I'm going to do with these leads. And then you start to call them randomly.
mm,
Maybe if you understand that some of them have a higher probability to really accept what you're selling, your policy, maybe that's the way you need to start. So
mm,
the person doesn't need to understand that all the process you have behind the automation and the models that decide that this is the customer you need to call, they only need the list.
mm,
And then when they do that and they realize that they are obtaining more customers, that's when I say, okay, I did my job here. Not because of building a model, not because automating a process, but because I understand what is the pain point of people, and I am defining the goals for that, for solving that pain point, and then we realize we solve the pain point. And in some cases, even the the goal is recognition. I have some cases where I don't know, you are the leader of one country,
mhm,
and there are 30 countries.
yeah,
And that person wants to have recognized with his colleagues as
mm,
someone that is innovating with AI and solving the problems and showing some results. So it's also part of the goal I need to achieve, right? Like not only improving the process, but also understand what really my clients need,
mm,
and then achieving that goal.
yeah,
And that makes even the my job more happy. And in the personal part, in the part of professional growth, um, I support people looking for their next opportunity, looking for a job.
mm,
So my goal is not to give them recommendations about the CV or prepare them for an interview or telling them how they need to change LinkedIn.
mhm,
It's more about that they need to find
yeah.
their job. And when they find the job, it's okay. It's not when they attend my course or when they did an exercise. It's more than when they achieve the goal.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So attaching so there's identifying that there's different drivers. I think for people making these decisions, and then you have your process, your achievement of delivering the services is once you've actually got to the end point instead of just rolling out your steps. So you're taking a very much a personal approach to working with all of these individuals, whether it's individuals within the businesses or individuals looking for a change in role or position or that personal growth. So, okay, and how are you going about finding these people? Is it heavily using your network? Are you going out to the market cold? What does that look like?
Okay, I have been working in insurance for more than 15 years.
Yeah,
So big portion of people that need something come to me.
that's
But I always understand that you need to have like a funnel, right? Like when everyone have, and in general, what I see that is a good way of this is that um, people needs to understand a little bit about what is AI and how can I start to talk about this, like feeling comfortable uh, seeing that AI is important, right? So we have some courses that are courses of AI for everyone.
Okay.
Like someone that doesn't know anything about AI can take these courses, but they give important examples of how people can start to use. Then people wants more, like I need to learn more. But when things start to be complex, then they say, okay, no, maybe I don't have the time. I don't want to do it. Can you help me
Mm.
on that? And in that process, we move I call this like the first step is like sensible I don't know how to say that in English. Sorry, sensibilization about like people start to understand more about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, then when they understand that, we let them know more about the products,
Mm.
like but they can really see the example, the use case, the automations, building AI agents,
Mm.
building predictive models. And that's like the second step is when you really start to monetize more what we are doing because okay, help me with this process and we are going to automate that or we are going to build this predictive model and we are going to build this roadmap for the data strategy. And then is the long-term process because when they realize, oh, this is working, okay, now I need to go to more areas of my business to improve, to be more sophisticated in this process, and there's them start to be a long term because once you start to see the value in this, then you start to use it for other things. One of the big examples is, for example, fraud models. When you have a process and insurance, you have a lot of fraud, as in many business. And then when you start with one process and you build a fraud model for a specific line of business, for a specific case, and you realize you are starting to save money
Mm.
because you was paying for something you didn't have to pay,
Mm.
then you move to another line of business, then you move to a more sophisticated models, and then you started uh, to do it like doing a lot of process that where you understand that AI and data will be helpful on that.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. So it's so for people that don't maybe have as much experience in the insurance industry as yourself and have as many connections, like you've still got a process of a funnel that leads people through the steps, whether it is around something very technical or the very entry level into the world of AI. So that's interesting because I think a lot of people probably say, well, I don't maybe they don't understand enough about the industry that they're going after straight away, so they take a different route and they say, well, I'm not strong enough in that industry to educate people, and then they go very much just like cold email, cold LinkedIn messages all the time, just sending out loads and loads of messages, maybe cold calling as well, and then they don't tend to get anywhere, whereas you've taken a lot more of a what I'd call like a nurture route. So you're nurturing them through the process of learning about AI, then wanting to know more about AI, and then realizing that there's too much to know everything about AI, and then that's when they come to you, which I think's a really solid funnel. And I think it's not too complex for people to set up as well, but I think a lot of people avoid it because they um it takes time to create these courses, right? And put the time into educating the market, like without necessarily.
Yeah, of course. Once even since you start to publish these courses, you also have people is interested,
Mm,
but not necessarily take the courses, right? But you already start to collect this data and start to use it, these leads. Uh, of course, there are other ways, like you can arrive to people, and there are a lot of strategies in digital marketing for that. I also have some partners on that help on that. Um, but to be honest, understanding about predictive models, um, you can start to run campaign or a strategy
mm,
if you are not measuring that. So for me, always is important to understand why I'm having these results, why people is answering positive to this campaign or not, and why not.
mm,
And the best way to really test your hypothesis is in the real life, right? Like so that's really important. You always need to start testing and being connected with your customers
mm,
to making sure what impact, what really had a positive impact and on and what not. But experimentation definitely is one important part. If you don't do that and you don't measure, mm, you can pay for a campaign. Okay, I bring a lot of leads. So as I receive 1 million leads, and from that 1 million leads, I receive 100 customers. Seems like a good number,
mm,
but maybe that customers that arrive for that campaign are not be going to be interested
mm.
in continue the funnel that
Yeah,
I show you. Like it is that they buy an automation or a agent model, and then thinking in a long term. So maybe it's much better the funnel where you are more focused in arriving to the customer you are going to arrive, and then that the lifetime value of that customer is going to be higher than the ones that arrive with the campaign that w- arrives to everyone. And of course, in numbers, the
yeah,
picture looks better, but not necessarily in the time is much better than the first one.
definitely. No, I completely agree with that. Yeah, and I think a lot of people make that mistake of they want as many as possible at the entry level. So no, I completely agree with that. So what does the year ahead look like for you then? What are the plans? What are the goals?
Well, definitely test, definitely go to the business and start to move. I already have a lot of things to do. Definitely be involved in learning continuously about this. This is changing every day. Every day you see we have a new model. So definitely, I have received that advice. Like, I'm not sure this is the best moment um, to define clear your products about AI
Mm,
because it's changing
yeah,
permanently.
yeah,
That's why my goal is not in AI. My goal is in the purpose of what people needs, especially in insurance and professional growth. And today is one way of AI what I can use, but tomorrow is going to be another one. And that's what I need to keep all the time
mm,
knowing about this. And I'm starting in Colombia. I'm starting locally,
mm,
but I have realized that definitely the networking I have um, is not only in Colombia, is around the world as you're seeing as we're seeing here. Um, So definitely I need to think how to manage that strategy. Like be focused locally, but don't lose the opportunities I can have in other markets.
Perfect. No, that sounds great. So, well, any if there's any listeners that are wanting to get in touch and ask some questions from all around the globe, then where should people go? Where should they message you on LinkedIn, on your website? Where's the best place?
Any place you can go to LinkedIn, Nohora Diaz, or you can go to my webpage, luloanalytics.com, or you can send me an email in norita at luloanalytics.com, or my Instagram is also Lulo Analytics. Uh, in any way, I'm happy to talk about insurance, talk about AI, talk about purpose, because definitely when we are clear defining the goal, having the path to achieve to that goal, it's easy and possible.
Perfect. Well, yeah, that's great. I will put the links in the description for all of your LinkedIn, website, email. So yeah, people get in touch if you have any questions. And then yeah, that's the pod. So thanks, Nora.
Thanks, Corman.